Welcome to the Miss Camay Show. I'm your host, Miss Camay, and we are broadcasting live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. I have the pleasure today of bringing back one of my season 2 guests, Mr. Gregory Marks. Welcome to the show, Gregory.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. So excited to have you here. We are bringing you back for an update on you and all things Gregory Marks. For those of you that are watching, Gregory joined me live in the Alternative Talk, AM Talk radio station about 6 years ago now, I believe, live in the studio. Yes, we had a phenomenal interview. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Gregory Marks and we met shooting a pilot many years ago in Tacoma, Washington. And when I walked in the door, I was like, who is that big old nice gorgeous gentleman over there? And all the ladies were like, oh, that's Gregory.
Why you embarrass me? Why you embarrass me?
And here we are years later, have been friends. Gregory Marks presented me with a humanitarian award from the Right Now Today organization for my advocacy around workplace bullying. So we are no stranger to each other. Those of you that don't know, Mr. Marks is an actor. He is a producer and a writer, and he's making major waves in the film industry these days. You have a few short films. I just want to kind of name them off, and then I want to come back to them and have you give our audience just a little digest of the films. Okay. You're known for Shift Paradigm and the film Jonah, the short film Simple Creature, and the short film Trust Tomorrow. So tell us a little bit about Shift Paradigm.
Shift Paradigm was a film that I dedicated to my father. At the time, he was really sick, and he always believed in me and believed that I could make it in film. And he would always say, I can't wait to see your work on the big screen. So there was really no pressure. I'm joking. There was a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And so I wrote this script like 2 years prior to that. I woke up in the middle of the night for no reason, like 2 years before that, wrote it in the middle of the night in about 3 hours.
Wow.
And then just let it sit. And then when my dad told me that, I said, okay, I'm going to make this movie.
Nice. Yep. Nice.
That's what happened with that one.
And what's the storyline on Shift Paradigm?
So Shift Paradigm, which is like a common theme in a lot of my movies, is that what you see is not necessarily what it is. So the gentleman, me, in the movie was, he appeared to be homeless, which he was homeless, but the reason behind why he was homeless was not revealed at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And the lady that was trying to help him, I kind of played with like, why is she so bent on helping this guy? Mm-hmm. And we both had a separate story that, I don't want to give it away in case somebody wants to watch.
Yes.
We both had a separate story that actually helped each other get back on track and down the right path.
Okay, great. Tell us about Jonah. What's the storyline behind Jonah?
So Jonah is a story about a deaf boy who gets picked on at school. And that was an inspiration from my sister, because my sister was born deaf. And so I did sign language. I was like, what can I do with this anti-bullying? Because I was watching YouTube, and there was a girl, she had these cards. And she wasn't saying a word, and she'd say, they tell me to kill myself. They tell me I'm ugly. They tell me, they say all these horrible things. And she actually ended up committing suicide. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make this film. And that's how I came up with Jonah. The only difference is that Jonah doesn't allow himself to be hurt, or he just wants to know why these guys are doing this to him. It's not like, oh, they're picking on me. He's like, okay, well, why are you guys doing that? So he enters into a swim meet to race against these guys, and that's all I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
The rest is pretty good. I don't want to spoil it in case.
Yes, yeah. No, I don't want you to spoil it. I don't want you to spoil it.
But I shot that at Stadium High School.
In Tacoma, Washington.
Yes, and it's actually, I believe it's one of the most beautiful high schools in the United States. Like literally, if you look it up, I think it says that.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and I also was filming underwater in this movie, in the Jonah movie, and that pool, they tore that pool out and replaced it. So I was kind of glad to get that childhood memory of that pool. And
Yes.
we also filmed at the Port of Tacoma, which we were the first drone ever to be flown on the Port of Tacoma, and we had an actor in the actual crane filming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's
Yeah, you
amazing.
do now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So your short film Trust Tomorrow, which is a film by Right Now Today Films. It was just selected by the Snohomish Film Festival. Save the date, September 9th. So talk to us about that. Share that amazing news with us.
Man, if you want to talk about the hardest project I've ever done, and like we were talking about before, surrounding yourself with people that have the same vision or that can help you reach your vision. This movie really relates to that because when we shot the first part, there was some differences between myself and the DP, and so we had some issues there,
Mm-hmm.
and we also had some sound issues. So the film was pretty much messed up, but all these people had invested into it, and I had already invested money into it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'm just going to finish it because I had probably over 100 people involved in this film.
Okay.
So I said, I'm just going to finish it. Then COVID came.
Oh. Oh,
So
wow.
now you have almost a 4-year spread in between when I first started filming to when um, I started filming again. So
Okay.
here's the blessing that lies within. Sound was messed up, so I rewrote it. Got the same exact actors. So the little girl in the movie at the
Mhm.
time was 6, and when we filmed it, she was 9. So I
Wow.
had to write a story to fit her age and everything that has happened in between that time. So the dad
Wow.
tells the story of what happened to him because the movie's about faith to the daughter because she's having an issue with faith now. So it's very
Oh.
complex, but it's like just a little, I'm just not an Oscar award winning film, but it's a good movie. You know what I mean? It's a good little film.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Don't count yourself out of that Oscar yet.
Okay.
So you said that Trust Tomorrow is a faith-based film. So what was the purpose of that?
So that's a really good question. I feel that nowadays a lot of people are, how do I put this without being, they they put they put what you are or who you are, they kind of label themselves and then other people label you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that the faith is about faith. It's not just about God. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I believe in God, but I
Yes.
also want other people to understand their faith might be different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is if it's taking you on a good path and you're being a good person,
Yes.
it's not my job to question what you are or who you are because that's your journey. That's your path that you're on. Okay.
Yes.
And like I said, in most of my movies, you might be thinking you're going the right way, but then something
Mm-hmm.
knocks you this way. And then
Yeah.
you take a different path, right? It might
Right.
be rough, but you know what? It might lead to this other path that's even better because you put
Yes.
the work in. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So when I talk about faith, it's not just like, oh, this is a Christian God movie because all my movies have Christian undertones, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You but this one I actually felt good to be able to talk about. Throw a little scripture in there. Faith is the substance of things unseen because it's
Mm-hmm.
true, whether
Yes.
it's the Bible or not.
Right. Right. Well, and I think especially in today's climate, we need to be reminded that we have our own faith-based beliefs. And we need to pay attention to the programming that is being circulated, around social media and the news and television and even in the movies,
Yeah.
or the television programs, that we're
Yeah.
watching or that we're engaging with.
That's why I like
And
making the movies I make.
yeah, yeah, we've got to remind people that they too can persevere. And like you said, faith is leaning not on your own understanding. And yes, and so I've had experiences in my life. I've been homeless before.
Yeah, we
I've
know about that.
yeah. I never, I never imagined that I would ever go through something like that, let alone survive it.
Right.
And not just
Yeah.
once, not just twice, but 3 times.
Yeah.
I have a career, I have a legal career, but it has been very challenging. It has been very hard to stay employed in the legal career. Lack of
Mhm.
employment has caused many challenges, for me over these last 20 years of being in
Yeah.
law. But I always know, and I know better now. I know better now. I'm
Yeah.
older. I've been through it.
Mhm.
Um, I know now. I don't question it. I have no doubt. If this
Right.
door closes, if this doesn't work out, um, that's just a redirect.
Yeah.
I'm being redirected to, on the path that I'm supposed to be taking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we definitely need, more of that in the world today for
Yeah.
sure.
So I got a question for you. I know that
Yeah,
you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I have a question for you. Okay,
I'll
so
answer.
everything that you went through, do you think that if you didn't go through that, that you would be where you're at right now?
No, no, absolutely not. It built character.
Mhm.
It built resiliency. It built, um, like I won't take no for an answer.
Right.
I refuse to take, I don't ever take no for an answer. Really. I
Yeah.
don't. Um, it, it, it taught me how to, be, more intellectual. And I believe I became more intelligent and more strategic and more calculated in my next move.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
We're winning the same, Miss Camay.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your next question? I'm ready. No.
I know, right?
You were presented with the humanitarian award in December of 2022 last year, for
Mhm.
your years of service to the Boys and Girls Club. So congratulations. I want to
Thank
officially
you.
congratulate you for that, from
Thank
one
you.
humanitarian award recipient to another.
Mhm.
So how did you why the Boys and Girls Club?
Oh, wow.
Why, why dedicate service to such a platform?
So at the time when I was speaking, because remember I was doing a lot of speaking engagements,
Mhm.
the Boys and Girls Club reached out to me in Squim. And I'm like, Squim? That's like, it's far,
Yeah,
right?
it's far.
And I was like, okay, they want me to do anti-bullying. I was like, okay, I'm down with that.
Mhm.
And then they were like, how much would it cost? And I go, well, usually, you know how we do this. Usually, this
Yes.
is my fee, da da da.
Yes.
And and I could just hear in her voice, she's like, oh, we don't have anything even close to that, right?
Yeah.
I said, okay. So I said, you know what? I'll do it. Just let me know, and we set it up. And I went there and I did my presentation. I showed Jonah. I, it was probably one of my better speaking engagements because of the interaction with kids. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I talked to each, the little ones, the middle ones, and the teenagers. I had a separate one for each, a separate message for each one of them.
Okay.
And at the end of that, she gave me an envelope, and I'm like, "What's this?" She goes, "Well, this is all we could come up with. I hope it's enough." You know what I mean? And I looked in, I didn't look right there, but when I got in the car, I looked, I was like, it's like $150 or something like that.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, it almost brought me to, I was almost ashamed, you know
Uh,
what I mean? Because this is the Boys and Girls Club.
yeah.
And when I was there, these kids like eat there, they're being taught there, they're playing. I mean, it's like a really good program for kids,
Yes. Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And I go, man, I'm just taking these kids' money like that. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. I really did.
Yeah.
But I took the money. I did because I
Yep.
didn't want to go back in there because I just didn't know what to do because I was trying to survive too. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, of
And
course. Of
it was
course.
almost like 2 hours to get there. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, man, that's 50 of that was about to be on some gas. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I got to eat. I'm hungry.
Right.
Um, yeah, and I'm still working with that little brokenness, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
So then they called me up again the next year. Now this is 2016, mind you. They called
Okay.
me up in 2016. I'm doing a little bit better. You know what I mean? They said, "Hey, you come out and do your thing. The kids loved you. They can't wait to see you." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And they said, "How much are you going to charge?" I said, "Nothing." They said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And I went out, and man, they were so happy, treated me so good. And I
Yes.
kept doing that. And like as I got more money, I started giving them more money. So like when
Yes.
you come, I'm coming with a C note and a bag of candy.
That's
Okay. You can answer a question from my last movie from last year. This could be yours. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I'll come with some 20s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, and then, so it's just fun, and
Yes.
you throw candy in the crowd, and, I do little skits, and it's just really fun. And the
Yeah.
teenagers, we really talk, you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
I have a thing with them. I say, ask me anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
over these years, from 2016 to now, I've seen these kids grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I come in now, it's like, oh, what's up, Greg? What's it? It's like, what you been doing? You still doing this and that? I'm like, you still doing that and that?
Yeah.
It's just because you know them now,
Right.
right?
You've built relationships.
Yeah. So right before Christmas, right before my premiere, I said I'm going to do something really nice for these guys, and I have one of those big fake checks, and it was $1,000, and they came down all the way from Squam with about 8 of them, and I gave them that check, and I'm telling you right now, those kids were happy.
I
They
bet.
next day they go, we haven't decided if we want to get a pool table or a
Oh,
PlayStation 2 for the club. You know what I mean? But that made me so happy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And they're thinking about like, I want this. They're like together, like they're trying to vote on it and get something that'll help the club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's special, man. I think that and my premiere sold out in less than 8 days, less than 8 days, over 200 seats. Boom! I was tripping. I was like, what?
Well,
I'm not even on social media. What's going on out here?
well, I can relate to, touching the lives of children as a title holder in plus size pageantry, walking into a school, and for me, being in regalia, right? Being in this gown and my sash and my crown, and the kids are so, they're like sponges. They absorb everything. They want to grow up fast. They want to, they want to learn, they want to know. And when you can come to children, when you can come before children as a grown adult, you're not their parent, you're not
Right.
their teacher, right? You are an adult, and you have a message that you're sharing. So they're listening to you. They'll listen to you before their teacher, before their parents, right?
Yes.
And the power of influence, the power that is behind your ability to relate to the kids and to communicate with them, understand where they're at. We have to meet people where they're at, right? Even our youth. The level of respect and adoration and appreciation that they extend, it does bring you to tears. It does.
Yeah.
And you leave that environment and you go out into the world, and interact with adults that are 10, 20, 30 years older than these children, and they act 10, 20, 30 years worse
Yeah.
than these children. So it really has a way of, really working with children has a way of, kind of really bringing you back to reality of
Yes.
life, and what the important proponents really are,
Yeah.
working with kids. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. I'm sure you still serve at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yep. Now I'll be there next year. They can't wait. I
Yes,
can't
of
wait to see them. They
course.
can't wait to see me.
Right. So I want to move our interview. This is my favorite part of my interview with you.
Uh-oh.
So exciting to talk about your next film, Westbrook, which is a wrestler's story. And I was so intrigued by your preparation for this film, for your obviously your commitment to the project, your commitment to the funding of the project. For those of you who know anything about film production, any kind of production, film production, music production, the costs to put these types of projects together, especially as an independent writer or producer, is extremely expensive. But I'm sure you'll agree, when you pay for everything on the front end, right, Greg? You own it
Yeah.
all on the back end, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I want to talk about Westbrook. I've been following your posts on social media. You've got DeVell Johnson, who's joined the cast of Westbrook.
Yes, Debbie
Uh,
L. Debbie L.
Debbie L. Okay,
Yes,
thank you, thank you. Former NFL player Dane Looker.
yep.
Dane
He was the
Looker
wide
has been
receiver.
cast. Yep,
Yep.
he's been cast in Westbrook. Shel Sonnen
Cable
is
Sun.
okay. He is your illustrious cast for Westbrook.
Yes, yes,
And the fabulous and gorgeous Josie Bassett is also joining
yes,
your cast.
yes.
So how did you cast these actors in this film? How did you do it? I mean, who did you call? Who
It
did
was
you
an
call in a
accident.
favor to?
It was an accident. It was a happy accident. I'm
Okay.
not even kidding. So, um, well, Deviel I knew for a long time, and he always said that he would help me. And we were kind of acting around the same time in Seattle. And then he moved on. He became an actor in Canada and LA and here. And
Mm-hmm.
like Hallmark, Lifetime, a couple movies and other television shows. But we've always remained friends. So he just jumped on right away. I worked for Dane Looker at his company because he's retired NFL, and he, agreed to do it. I had to twist his arm a little bit, but he's such a great guy. He's a real family guy, so he wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kevin Roberts, I met him at a tournament because I met another guy he was just a character, and I said, "Hey man, have you ever acted before?" And he's like, "No, but I want to." He's like all hyped up.
Yeah.
He goes, "What do you want to play?" And I explained the role to him. He's like, "Oh, I can do it. I can do it right now." I said, "Just hold that thought, okay? And we'll get to that later. You're hired. Just calm down." You know what I mean? He's really cool. Patrick Gannon, really cool guy. And he goes, "You should really meet is Kevin Roberts. Oh, he's the one. He's the guy." So then he introduced me and Kevin. I met Kevin like, "Oh my gosh, here goes my Joe. This is the part that I need is Joe." So I'm
Okay.
talking to him, and he coached at Oregon State and everything. And so he goes, "You need to meet my buddy Chell." I'm like, "Okay, who's that?" He goes, "You
Uh-huh.
haven't heard of Chael Sonnen?" I go, "No, no, I don't watch MMA, and he like showed me or told me how to spell his name, and I looked it up. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's a beast."
Yeah.
So he reached out to Chael, asked Chael if he wanted to be in this movie. Then Chael, I contacted him, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." You know what I mean? And I just happy accidents, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and he,
The power of networking, right?
yeah, and then Josie, one of my other producers, actually contacted her by accident because somehow she got her number, right? So she
Okay.
called Josie,
Somehow.
yeah, called Josie, and then Josie actually answered the phone, and then she just started talking to her, and they start talking, and she started telling about the movie and what we're doing, and everything. She said she was interested, and then I ended up talking to her, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Melrose Place. I mean, yeah, yes, man, it's
Yeah.
right the lines, man. This is awesome, right?" She's such a nice person. I mean, everybody has been so helpful. Tyler Roberts was in my last movie. Tabitha Bastion was in my last movie. Bianca
Mhm.
Lamarca was in. They're all got parts in this movie, because I
Okay.
believe in keeping the people around me that help me get through it because I know I can rely on them and trust them.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and Joey Lamarca as a producer. I mean, anytime I need something, because I don't have money like that. If I
Yeah.
really, really need something, he's the guy's like, "Okay, let's do this," and he'll make it happen. So he's like,
Wonderful.
yeah. So I've been really blessed, man. I'm telling you, it's just I just keep grinding, man. I'm kind of like you. I don't take no. Like,
Yeah.
don't tell me no.
Well, one thing that I saw very clearly when we had just met, when we were filming the pilot down in Tacoma, you have a servant's heart, and you serve the people that you love, and you serve without expectation or entitlement of anything in
Right.
return.
Yes.
And like I remember you were doing a lot. I think you were in wardrobe for the pilot.
Yeah.
And
I
so
was
there
doing
were
wardrobe.
yeah, there were, I mean, they were burning hair with the hot iron
Man.
conference room.
You remember that, huh?
Yeah, the smell.
Oh man. I was like, man, you can't be wearing that. Come here, just tuck that in.
Yeah.
In that back. They ain't gonna see behind you.
Right. So you know, when people work with you, you know, if anyone spends any amount of time around you, you know, that is very obvious and very evident that, you know, you serve people. And you serve people before you ask someone to help you. You know,
Yeah,
you're very humble, you know, in the things that you're doing. So, I mean, who can say no to you?
a lot of people do. You know what I mean? But every time that no, it's just getting you ready for that yes. You
Right.
know, there's a guy that I know, his name is RB, and he's a stage 32, and he puts these sayings up all the time, man. It's like he's so spot on, and when he does it, it like resonates with me when I need it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird, man. And he says like some really good stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful. So
Yes. Yeah,
um,
it keeps
I
you
think that,
grounded.
yes, and he's doing very well. He's changing the whole game of filming. I mean, everything,
Mhm.
all of it. And he's like working with
Yeah.
Netflix and all these Amazon, all of them. You know what I mean? He's getting in
Mm-hmm.
magazines. He's doing really well. So why would I not listen to someone that's succeeding in the same field that I'm in?
Yes. Yes. Well,
So
and that's what makes, you know, part of you so wonderful is that you understand that. You know, you understand working with people who are where you're wanting to go and where you're headed.
yeah,
You know, I can't, it's not even fair to say where you're wanting to go because you're going.
yeah,
And that's how we learn, right? That's how we
yeah,
learn. That's how we
yeah.
learn.
How much time we got? Because I want to tell you this little story.
Go
Okay, can
for it.
I
We
tell you
have
this
all the
story?
time that you
Okay.
want.
So when I was doing drugs and all that stuff,
Mhm.
my dad never ever put me down or said you're a loser, you're a bum. When are you going to get your stuff? He never did that to me ever. I
Mhm.
say, Greg, one day your ship's going to come in. If you take all that energy you're putting into all those bad things you're doing and put it
Mhm.
into something good, he goes, man, you could change the world. That's how he used to talk. He said, you
Mhm.
could change the world, Greg. So but all the time, for 20 years, I was an addict. And then when I became homeless and I didn't have anywhere to go, I called my dad.
Mhm.
I said, Dad, I'm ready. That's all I had to say. He goes,
Mhm.
okay, I got a place for you. Call this number. I called the number. I told the guy all the stuff. I was on the streets and doing all this and that. And I needed treatment. I needed it bad because if I don't get treatment tonight,
Mhm.
I'll probably be dead tomorrow. That's what I told the guy on the phone. He's
Mm.
like, well, it costs $500 to get in. I said, did you just hear what I just said? He goes, I hear that all the time. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
He
Yeah.
says, it's $500. Ask your friends, family, whatever, and see if they can help you. And I said, I already asked them. He goes, well, I'm really sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Hung the phone up, right? I called
Okay.
my dad. Actually, before that, when he said no, I grabbed a cushion off the couch and I got on my knees. And I said, God, if you could take this taste out of my mouth and this desire out
Mhm.
of my heart, I'll serve you for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
It's kind of like when you drink and you start throwing into like, I'm never going to drink again.
Yeah.
But I was at that point and I was so
Yeah.
broken and I was crying. I called my dad back. I said, Dad, um, they said it's $500 to get in. He said, well, what are you going to do, son? I said, I was hoping I could get the $500 from you. He
Mhm.
said, Greg, I've known you longer than anybody on this earth.
Mhm.
I have $500 and I could give it to you. But if I gave you that $500, I'd be doing you a disservice. And you was out there on the streets chasing women, getting high and doing whatever you wanted to do. You found a way to do that. If you truly want to get clean, you'll find a way to do that. I know you can do it, Greg. And hung the phone up on me. yeah, and
Wow.
yeah, and so then the phone rings and I pick it up and the guy's like, Greg, I'm like, yes. This is Brother Jerry. That was his name. This is Brother Jerry.
Uh-huh.
I heard something in your voice, boy. If you can get down here in 2 hours, I'll let you in for free. I said,
Wow.
I said, bet. you know, hung the phone up, called up my friend, and I said, his name was Chuck. Everybody called him Walter, but I called him Chuck.
Mhm.
Chuck,
Mhm.
man, you gotta come get me, take me to this place, man. I think if I don't get there tonight, Chuck, I'm telling you, man, tonight could be the night, man. I could be gone. Chuck's like, man, Greg, I've heard you say this so many times.
Mhm.
I'm working. I got my landscape truck. It's got trees in the back. I got my dog Jake in the front seat. I don't have time to be messing with you, right? And this
Uh-huh.
is my friend from kindergarten, right? We've been friends.
Okay.
And I said, Chuck, I'm telling you, come get me right now. He said, okay. So he pulls up in this dump truck, all these trees sticking up. Jake's sitting on the seat. So I climb up like I'm getting in the seat. Chuck said, no, you ain't. He said, get in the back of the truck. So I got in the back of the truck. That was the turning point. That was my paradigm shift. That was my epiphany.
Yes.
And hanging on to these two trees, listening to the telephone poles and whizzing by. The sun was out, and I was breathing
Yeah.
again. And I went to
Yes.
treatment. And now we stand here at this time.
Yes.
I'm getting somewhere. That's just the story. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
best thing. My dad died a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to stay alive because you want to be hooked up to stuff.
Yeah.
And so we got to talk to him. And so he pulled me to the side and he said, Greg, if you do anything, remember this. I want you to be undeniably great.
Mm.
I said, okay, Dad. He goes, now hear me out. When you're undeniably great, that means nobody can take it from you.
Yes.
He said, nobody can take that when you're undeniably. He said, that's like telling Michael Jordan he's not great. He said, I don't care what LeBron does. Michael Jordan is undeniably great.
Yes.
He said, you be that, son. That's what you need to be. And that's what
Wow.
I'm doing now.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm done.
You just brought me to tears sharing that story. Thank you. It's powerful. It's so powerful. And I agree with your dad. You are undeniably great, Gregory.
Thank you.
You are undeniably great. You are well on your way. You're doing great, amazing, amazing, amazing things for the world through your film.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So back to Westbrook.
Sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. This is what we do on the Miss Camay show. It's real, it's raw. This is the platform for it, for sure.
Okay.
And I believe my audience appreciates my emotions as well as a host. I was so intrigued when you were sharing your story about Westbrook and your preparation for the movie. So talk to us a little bit about that. Tell our audience, what has Greg Marks done to prepare for a wrestler story? What have you done? What are some things that you've done or that you are doing?
Let
What's
me see. So let me start with this.
okay?
Right here. Luckily, this is right by me. I want to show you something. So when I go to wrestling tournaments, I don't take a lot of pictures. I sit there and I draw and I listen. So I draw pictures, but I just want to show you the first page of how the whole thing started. And I hope I don't cross your eyes when you look at it because it's a hot.
Oh, wow.
That's how I started the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started by finding all of the wrestling movies that I could find that have ever been made that are fictional, because this is a fictional movie. So there's only about 13, 14 fictional wrestling movies that have been made.
Okay.
The first one was in 1978.
Okay.
And the next best one that everybody says is all-time favorite is Vision Quest, and that was 1985.
Okay.
So the other movies are good. I like them all because they're wrestling movies, but I've watched every single one of them, and some of them more than once. Some of them I watch for cinematography. Some of them I watch for the dialogue. Some of them I watch for the word. I mean, how did they do it? How, because you got to think about it. You got moving bodies out there. So what I said is, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do what any of these films do because it's already been done, right?
Right.
If I want to make the best wrestling movie that's ever been made, I have to do something different.
Yeah, talk about it. Come on, talk about it. Talk about it.
For the first time in any fictional movie, except for one movie that was actually about a girl wrestler, there has never been a female wrestler in a wrestling movie, fictional movie. So that's a first. I'm also highlighting the women in it and promoting women's and girls wrestling more. I think that that's important. I have a daughter and a granddaughter, you know what I mean? So moms and sisters. So I just kind of, my mom was always, I don't know, she just taught us how to be like gentlemen and respect women. And so I know that that's like my contribution to women in film for me. All the women characters in this film are really strong. I've also hired or cast actual wrestlers. So I figured it would be easier to teach a wrestler how to act than an actor how to wrestle.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I got some of the top people. BK, he just graduated. I don't think he graduated. I take that back, but he was an All-American this year. for
Okay.
Oregon State.
Okay, nice.
And then Kamaya is she's actually going to be at Fargo. This is her first time going to Fargo, and so in order to get to like these types of tournaments and you have to wrestle hundreds of people.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes.
So to be an All-American or a national champion, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you've done a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, and so Kevin Roberts, who is the stunt coordinator, he was coaching Oregon State. Kirk Elliott, he wrestled and he has two kids. His daughter's a national champion, and his son's going to Fargo this weekend. I'm actually riding with him there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Phil's son, ex-wrestler, MMA. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just like all these people, even the referees that are in the movie will
Yeah.
be real USA Wrestling referees.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going
Wow.
to be the realest movie. I'm going to make it to the best of my ability with what I have.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, and some of the shots we're doing, I can't, man, I can't even tell you because I don't want anybody trying to steal my secrets,
Yeah,
man.
that's right. That's right.
Man, I'm telling
We
you,
have
I
to
got
make
these.
all of our audience members sign a non-disclosure,
Oh
right?
my goodness, I mean, I just have these shots because so everything. I'm a visual person, and that's what helps me with my writing. So as I'm writing, I'm actually each character inside myself. It's kind of weird, I know that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I do. And so all these characters that I have created, I'm very familiar with them, and I've created backstories for all of them, and their last name or their names all have meanings. So like Salva is the janitor guy, and I
Okay.
can tell you guys this because it'll be okay. I'll tell you a little bit of it. And
Okay.
he's not even like a
Yeah,
main
because
character.
you can't say you're going to tell us and then not tell us, because that's
Right.
just not going to
So which
work
one
on the
should I
Miss
do,
Kamei
Miss
show.
Kamay? Which one should I do, Miss Kamay? Not tell you or tell you? But Jake Ferris, he just took third in nationals, and he's playing this like savant kind of janitor that injured a kid a long time ago, and he went up in the mountains and found himself, and just came back and was just this really quiet. But he ends up working with the wrestling team. Just
Okay.
they all have like backstories and all like Bellatrix. That means warrior in Latin. You know what I mean? Female warrior.
Wow.
That's what it means. You know, so all these names have there's Magnus means king. You know what I mean?
So,
Means
so
wisdom.
yes, yes. So how, like, what would you challenge our audience, your audience members who are going to watch this film, because as you're sharing the backstory and as you're sharing how you've written the script and how you've written like backstories for all of the characters in the film, how can your audience see that? How can we see that? Or what should we be looking for those backstories?
Okay, so I'm gonna do a mini documentary before the film for promotions and marketing, and
Okay.
each character will be talking about who they are, where they came from, what they've done in wrestling, why they're in the film, and so you'll know about each character before
Okay.
you even see the film, before you even film the film.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
then, and the reason why I'm doing this is because when I did at my premiere, I showed all three of my movies. So I showed Shift Paradigm, Jonah, and Trust Tomorrow. And once I showed all those films, it was a fest, a crying, hugging fest. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was so the energy was just so good and pure. But anyways, um, almost everybody there I knew. So I'm calling people. Hey, what's your favorite movie? Oh, it's so tough. Don't make me pick one. No, you got to pick one. And each person kind of related to this character in this movie or couldn't decide because each movie they could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me say, like, okay, so that means I can get in depth with these characters, and somebody in the audience is going to relate to that character.
Right.
They'll gravitate towards that character.
Yeah.
So I made sure that each character was very different in personality and what they do and how they present themselves, so that anybody in the audience could pick and say, "I like that guy. Something must have happened to him."
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it is, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. You just mentioned like the effect that your movies have on your audience, right?
Yes.
So when you're a witness to that, when you hear somebody's testimony, when they share with you, I like this film or I like this character, when you are witnessing the effect that your movie has had on this individual or these individuals, because there's several, there's many, right? And there will continue to be.
Yes.
You know, like describe that for our audience, you know, as a
Yeah.
producer, as a writer, you know, what does that do for you? How does that,
Yeah.
how does that, what does it do for you? What does it do for you?
So, when I talk about my films and at the point I'm getting to now, people say, "Oh, you're going to be famous. You're going to be this. You're going to." Oh, no, I'm not shooting to be famous. I'm shooting to be relevant. Okay. So if I make a film and it touches a person in a certain way, that in itself is my reward. And the realism that I bring to the movies, like in Shift Paradigm, I've had people come up to me and say, "I'm really sorry about your wife and your kid." You know what I mean? I'm like, that wasn't real. That's just a movie that was fake. What? Oh, it just seems so real.
Yeah.
That's what makes me feel good, is because, okay, I've done my job.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I want each person to walk out of there a different person than when they came in.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, how many film producers or, you know, script writers, you know, have that baseline?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you talk about your personal story. You shared with us, you know, about conversations that you've had with your father. My condolences to you, by the way, you know, on your father's passing. It's never anything easy, you know, for anybody. But you talk about your movies and some of the movies, and just let me kind of back up a little bit. Mr. Marks has actually acted in many, many, many movies. What's the platform? IMDb?
Yeah, IMDb.
I got it right.
Yep, you sure did.
IMDb. I think you need to cast me in one of your films, Greg.
Uh-oh.
I'm like learning
Uh-oh.
the lingo.
Uh-oh. Watch out now.
You talk about like your personal testimony. I know in Shift Paradigm, you know, there was some history of your life there in that movie as well. I know you personally, so I know how you know, parts of you relate to your movies. So as it relates to Westbrook, what personal testimony or personal story do you have behind this film?
You just had to ask, didn't you? So I was an athlete. I did baseball, track, football, and I was pretty decent at it. I did wrestling too, and a guy was kept wrestling me in the hallways at school because he could never pin me, so he'd always like pick at me. And one time we were in the hallway and I did a little move on him and I tried to throw him and he reversed it and I went through a big glass window and almost cut my whole arm off. And so I had like 300 some stitches on my arm. So that was the end of my sports career. But I thought about, like, I wanted to do a movie because I have another movie that I want to do that's already written, but it would be too expensive. I said I might be able to get enough money to do another movie before this one.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, no, we're just building revenue right now for that movie.
Yeah,
You got to do it in phases. Okay.
yeah. And so yeah, that's where I'm at on that one. That's pretty much
That's all you're gonna share with us. We have to wait and watch the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, I just kind of, it's hard to explain sometimes, and I don't want to. I like to give stuff away, but sometimes too, this is going to be so. Like I said, I'm trying to be undeniably great, and in order to do that, you can't show all your everything.
Yeah, you can't lay your hand down. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't put your cards on the table.
But I can guarantee that I will have put my entire everything into this film. So if that's reassuring, and people that do know me, and when I say I'm going to do something like that, my word is something you can take to the bank.
That's right. That's right.
So I just want people to be affected in a good way by this whole thing.
Yeah.
I
told you I didn't take no for an answer, so that was a great way to, like, tell me yes, but tell me no. I caught that there.
I didn't think you caught me, man.
So,
Uh,
to kind of wrap things up, you said you're headed to North Dakota. So tell our
yes.
audience, what are you going to North Dakota for?
Oh man. So I'm going to North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, to the biggest wrestling tournament in the United States, I believe.
Wow.
4 to 7,000 people, and I have media, so I get to be on the floor. That's an interesting story. The folks over at USA Wrestling, they're really protective of the children there. So
Okay.
in order to be on the floor, you have to do a background check and you have to take a safety test, for being around children. You have to become a member. There's like all the stuff I had to do. I had to prove that I was media because they've never had like a filmmaker like be on the floor. So
Okay.
there was no category. You could be like a wrestler, volunteer, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
There's
There
nothing
was
to
no film producer box to
right,
check.
right. So I was really nervous because at first they said that I passed. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to Fargo. And they're like, no. And I was like, I'm not going to Fargo. And the guys, he just said, we don't know what is your purpose? What are you doing? And
Okay.
so I call Gary Abbott, nice guy,
Okay.
big time there. He does all the social media. He's the one that decides if you can do it or not. And
Okay.
just luckily, he picked up the phone. And I said, hey, Greg Marks here, Westbrook. That's what I'm leading off of that now. Westbrook.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Remind me, remind me. I go, it's a movie that I'm making. And they go, oh, yes, yes. And I told him, he goes, well, what are you going to be doing? Who are you going to be filming? What are you going to? I said, honestly, I'm the guy that walks around with a notepad. I just want to hear things, listen to things, because in order for me to make the best wrestling movie ever made, which is
Yes.
Audition, I have to be on the floor so I can hear the coaches, the parents, the wrestlers, the sounds, the whistles, the slams. I need to know what that feels like. I need to know what it sounds like. And I need to be on the floor. Can you please help me with that? This guy
Wow.
pushes the button, you're good. I'm
Well,
like, yeah.
I mean, but just it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's excellent. It's excellent. I mean, to be able to make a wrestling movie, how, what better way to learn than to actually go to the biggest wrestling event in the world, right?
You
In the
have
country,
to.
in the world.
You have to. I mean,
Yes.
and I went to 4 tournaments before that,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
just because the realism in this film is going to be the mistake that the other wrestling movies made, or I shouldn't say mistake, the
Hmm.
route that they took was they focused a lot more on the story around the wrestling than focusing on the wrestling.
Okay.
This movie is for wrestlers to watch and go, oh, that would happen. Get them invested in that story because, yeah, that's a real move. Oh, that looked real because they're going to be really wrestling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I'm
They're
sending,
real wrestlers.
yes, I'm sending all these guys to Meisner classes. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's like the kind of stuff. So when they get out there, they're not looking at the camera like, what do I say? You know what I mean? I want them
Right.
to be ready. I want them to be
Yes.
focused. You know what I mean? So um,
Yes.
it's hard to, like, you can't just go say, hey, I'm going to make the best wrestling movie ever and don't do nothing.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
like it's changed me all around. It's like I'm starting to get more fit because all these guys are fit. I'm sitting there looking like Black Santa Claus, and they're like, you know what I mean? They look like a bunch of elves. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute, let me slim this up a little bit.
Right.
But even like the stories, like some of the parents, because they travel all over. I mean, different state from state to state, chasing these tournaments, trying to get the necessary points that they need to become championship wrestlers and to
Yes.
possibly go to the U.S.
Right.
The Olympics.
Hmm.
So this is like the real deal. These are people that are spending their last dimes and just scraping and scrapping to take their kids to these places. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So this is what champions do. You know what I
Right.
mean? This is how
Yes.
you become a champion.
Yes.
And to be able to witness that and see that, I've seen defeats, I've seen people get knocked out, I've seen fingers get broken, I've seen girls cry, I've seen boys cry, I've
Yeah.
seen boys throw tantrums, I've heard parents yelling, I've seen coaches, kicking. I've seen, so this is feeding me, right?
Yes.
So I'm just sitting here listening to all this stuff and here, like I can be somewhere else and hear a certain noise now and go, I know what happened over there.
Right.
That person's
Yeah.
hurt. Let me go over here and see what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you hear the struggle. It's an amazing thing to witness.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about Fargo, and I'm just thankful, like I said, for USA Wrestling. Kevin Roberts will be there. Camay will be wrestling there. Mason will be wrestling there. Uh, Kirk Elliott will be coaching, and so will Kevin Roberts will be coaching. So I'm just like, all
Wow.
those people, those are like my people.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, that are in my
You're
movie.
amongst champions. You're amongst
Yes, and I'm just
wrestling
like,
royalty.
yeah, I'm just like, I'm excited, man. It's just,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm thankful that these people are going to be in my movie, and I'm thankful that they just, they're interested. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So I didn't think
Well,
it would start blowing up like this.
I mean, but the work that you're putting into it,
Yeah,
it speaks for itself, you know.
thank you.
And I know you're a man of faith. Your father was, very much a center, in your
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
And he's definitely more involved and more engaged now than he ever was when he was
Oh
here in the
man,
physical sense. So
yeah,
when you pick up that phone and you're like, hey, it's Greg Marks, hey, Westbrook, and they're like, oh yeah, 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 okay, yeah, you're good.
yeah,
The faith that
yeah,
you lean not on your own understanding.
yeah,
um
yeah.
so
And I'm
great.
glad that, thank you. I'm glad that Westbrook is now, and I'm glad that you said that at the beginning too. You said Westbrook, a wrestler story, because
Yes.
that's the whole thing. That's all you need to know.
Yes. 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 In closing your interview, it's been a great interview. You've definitely, brought me to tears. I always love, 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 and enjoy talking to you, and listening and learning from you. I mean, you're making me want to be maybe an actress.
And just be undeniably great, like you're already doing.
I might have to put in my casting application. I don't know about the wrestling movie, but I
Maybe in
could
the
be
next
the
one though. I'm
I
not
could be the
kidding.
beauty queen that walks around with the number, right? Like next round.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, watch out now.
So in closing, how do you make movies that are relatable to the masses? How do you do this? And I know you talked about like the time and the investment, your personal time, your personal your personal energy, your personal time, the financial investment that you're putting into this movie, speaks volumes. But how do you make movies that are relatable to the masses? How do you do that? Time
So,
after time after time after time, because I've seen your films, I've seen Jonah, I've seen Shift Paradigm. Those are the only two movies that I've seen.
which one's your
I
favorite?
can't wait to see what.
Which one's your favorite?
um let's see, here
See?
you asking the same question that you asked somebody already before.
Exactly.
And you
See?
think you're going to get a different answer. Well, I would have to say, I like them both for different reasons.
Sounds just like a lot of other people.
Yes. Shift Paradigm, for me, I can relate to the story because there was a time when I made choices and decisions for myself that didn't, lead me to the right place.
Right.
I made choices and decisions with boyfriends, with friends,
Yeah.
when I'd seen red flags, hundreds of times, and
Mhm.
just turned my face to them. And in situations, in my own personal situations in my life, I've had these experiences devastate me, and where I feel like I've had to start all over from the ground.
Mhm.
I've been homeless. I've never really struggled with any type of addiction, substance addiction, I would say, but an addiction to wanting to be liked, and an addiction to wanting to be good enough, an addiction to a job that didn't love me back.
Right.
I feel that not people can be addicted to so many other things other than substances or drugs or alcohol, or I feel that there was a point in my life when I was addicted to misery,
I can
and
relate
that's
to all that stuff.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
So Shift Paradigm, can it shows me and reminds me that no matter what it is, I'm going to overcome it.
Yep.
I just have to make the choice. It's really that simple. It's about making the choice to make a different choice for yourself and change the trajectory of your life, right?
Yeah.
With Jonah, I was bullied and teased as a child in school. I've also been bullied in the workplace as a grown adult. And so I could definitely relate to, many aspects of that movie as well. So again, I'm sure it's not anything that you haven't heard before. They're very different movies.
Yeah.
I would, I think, like, I want you to talk about like how you make these films that the masses can relate to.
Yeah. So we all have commonalities, all of us.
And let me say, we have more commonalities than we have differences.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so when I was studying writing, self-taught, YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube,
Google.
yeah, I did all that stuff. A lot of them have said, write what you know, right? So when it comes to a certain emotion for a certain character, I probably have been there at some point in time in my life. So I know what that feels like, and I write that.
Okay.
For that character. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I've been through the ringer, you know what I'm saying? How they say it, beat up from the feet up, you know what I'm saying? I've been through it, bro.
How does it make you feel, when you actually see the emotion in your audience?
Oh man, I'd be right with him sometimes crying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know that, okay, that person, there's something in that person's life that my movie, it affected them.
Yes.
They felt it. There's something that they felt. And that's what I want in films. I want people to be connected to a character or a situation and be able to relate to it and see the better side of it. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense.
So like in Shift Paradigm, like you were saying, it was all about decisions. But see, these two people that had these problems that were holding them back, one homeless and she wasn't happy. They connected and they helped each other realize that there is another alternative of being that you can be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there it is there.
Yeah.
There it is
You
there.
remember the end of the movie, right, in Shift Paradigm? When she pulled up in the car and looked in the window? I'm not even gonna tell you. You gotta watch it. This is a long time ago. That was 2014. So yeah. I know it's tricky to remember. But if you watch at the end, and when she pulls up in the car, that's all I'm telling
you. Like I see her pulling up in the car, but I just can't remember what happens after that. So I have to go watch it again.
I'm not gonna tell you.
So where can people find your movies? Where can people connect with you? When is Westbrook coming out? When is the Westwood Story coming out?
It'll be filmed in 2024 and it'll probably be out 2025. Sometime in 2025. Okay. We're really going to take some time. I'm trying to get some music license for it. Also with the composing and special effects. If we get enough money and get the way we want to do it, we should be able to do it in a year, because there's a lot of stuff that's editing wise that I want to do to change the game. You know what I mean? It's going to change the game.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I don't want it to just be just a story. Right. I also want it to be cinematically beautiful.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a beautiful shot.
Yes.
Because you feel that. You know what I mean?
Right, right, of course.
So it's kind of like when you're on a roller coaster. When you go down, it's like how your stomach feels. And then you're going back up, you kind of calm for a minute, you start reaching the peak, you start getting a little antsy. Yeah. That's how I want the movie to be. Okay. You know what I mean? So you get that excitement, but then all of a sudden you have this lull that makes you think for a minute.
Okay.
And then you go back down the roller coaster again. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. I was feeling so good a minute ago.
Right. And now I'm like,
yeah, now I'm crying.
So where can people find your other films?
Rightnowtoday.org. You can go there and they can watch Shift Paradigm and Jonah, and they can also watch the trailer for Trust Tomorrow.
Where can they watch that film? Where can they catch that film at?
In film festivals. It's just gotten into one. It's submitted to 3 more. One we didn't get into for whatever reason. but that's to be expected, you know.
Okay.
So,
Yep. Yep.
why do you want me to submit the film in Vegas so you can go watch it in Vegas
Well, I mean, yeah, or you could just come here. You could just come to Vegas.
and do what?
Oh,
It just
there's a
shows,
lot to do in Vegas.
right? Well, so that brings me to self-distribution. I think I talked to you a little bit about that.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, I want to do the film and do a film tour, and so we can come through Vegas. We can
Well,
sit
I
there
expect it. I
for
expect it,
about.
and I will not take no for an answer on that. I
I
will
know what
not
that
take.
means. I know what that means, Miss Camay. I'm not gonna say no. I'm
Okay.
not a fool.
That's right. That's right. How can people connect with you on social media? Where can they find you? Where can they connect with
Um,
you? If you know somebody's watching our interview and they want to work with you or they want to hire you, how can they connect with you? Because I could tell them to call me, and I because I have your direct phone number, but I'm not
exactly.
giving that out publicly. That's just for
I
special
appreciate that.
people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. They can go to actor Marks on Instagram, Greg_Marks on Twitter, and on Facebook, Gregory Marks.
Wonderful.
LinkedIn, Gregory Marks. I'm easy to find. Just you Google it, and I'm the black guy in the picture.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you who are wanting to connect with Mr. Marks, you will find his links down in the comments here in the video. So please follow him. Please catch up with him. Please follow his journey and watch this amazing, amazing film come together. You've got several years, to watch Mr. Marks in the making. So please be sure to connect with him. Gregory, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you came back to the Miss Camay Show to talk about your new film and share your testimony and share your story with me. I'm so grateful. You're an amazing, amazing guest, always an amazing interview. We could talk for another
Yeah,
hour at least.
easy.
Yes, and laugh. It's always laughs with
Oh
you.
my gosh, too funny.
Um, Miss Camay International is here to support you.
I appreciate that.
If I can help in any way, if there's anything that I can possibly do, I would love to be called on. You've been an amazing, amazing light in this world, and I'm, so grateful to know you and to call you my friend.
Yeah,
I hope you feel the
likewise.
same. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for watching the Miss Camay Show. We will be back the same place, the same time. You know where we're at. You can find us on YouTube and on Facebook. The Miss Camay Show is our handle. Have a great night, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gregory. Thank you for a great
Thank
interview.
you. Thank you.